help bring men back into this spirit of courtship and romance is really simply having higher standards. So for ourselves, the way that we express ourselves, the standards we have, the boundaries we hold, again, pretty simple things, don't rush into physical contact on the first night you meet somebody. Don't even rush into physical contact 2 months after you meet somebody, okay? It should be something that you learn a lot about that individual before you even have that sacred transfer of energy. And what happens is, because you're not giving something so easily, a man has to learn to respect you. When you put specific boundaries around things, it's going to require a certain amount of respect in being in your presence. And you'll quickly know as well if you are dealing with a gentleman that is not willing to hold those boundaries and doesn't respect you enough to just really be happy with the conversation and, sharing a great meal or having a great walk, whatever it may be. If they're not willing to, this is going to, when we save the whole aspect of our sacred sexual energy till, a good time into the relationship, it also forces us to decide whether we really enjoy engaging with that person. Because it's easy to have that fiery, sort of lustful energy, because of course the body is going to have a response to that is, pleasurable, and we can confuse it with somebody that we maybe want to get into a relationship, but it's only because you have this sort of fiery, lustful excursion with that person, which is going to bring on certain amount of feelings for them, because that's just a natural biological response. But then we haven't taken the time to actually get to know them. And then what happens with the breakdown of these type of relationships is, as that initial excitement wears off and you really get to know the individual, and you really realize you don't have a lot in common, or they are annoying, or they're not as intelligent as you thought they were, or that your hobbies don't align and your habits are very different, then the eventual breakdown of the relationship happens because the pre-research wasn't done. You weren't taking the time to figure out if this individual was actually a good match for you, or if it was just pure physical attraction. And again, there's lots of beautiful bodies out there everywhere, that you could potentially date, that you could potentially have a romantic connection with, but is it the right kind of connection? And then we have to kind of ask ourselves, what's the purpose of dating? What's the purpose of it? Are you in a stage where you want to date as many people as possible just so that you can kind of play the field and see what's out there? I mean, that's okay, but you have to understand too that you can do a lot of damage with this type of philosophy, because if you're not being authentic with the people that, are the other part of it, and if they're really wanting something serious, then you're doing a lot of, that ripple effect of a lot of damage. So I think if you are wanting to play the field, then be really upfront about it, be really clear that that's what you're interested in doing. And then at least those that aren't interested in doing that can kind of bow out before any interaction happens. And there's nothing wrong with individuals wanting to do that. Again, I think that it's reasonable, or there's much more integrity in just having a lot of great friends that you do things with. And, if somebody piques your interest in a certain way, then, starting to be a little bit more serious with them in terms of taking it slow, in terms of learning about that particular person. Probably a good idea to let them know your intentions so that you're not running away in this fantasy land with a friend that really doesn't feel the same way. But again, this idea of courtship, this idea of going back to old-fashioned values, those are the marriages that stood the test of time. That was sort of my grandparents' era, where, they were coming back from the Second World War, and they very much were looking for that nurturing, comfort, beautiful relationship. And they still had a lot of ties to the church, to religion, to certain expectations that were just part of society at that time. But it actually made for some really beautiful, long-standing marriages that did stand the test of time. And I know with my grandparents that were still in love till the day that they passed away. So I think, again, in the modern era, when I look at what might not be working, you know, there are definitely things that have improved in terms of women's rights and our ability to be all that we want to be. But I think that sometimes what's missing for the modern woman and the modern man is chivalry, is that aspect of romance and the character that having to be chivalrous builds. It builds a certain type of unique character in a person. It's just not, you know, quick and dirty. It requires skills. And again, when I say it requires skills, especially for women, all of these skills are really fun to build. You know, the art of adornment, how to beautifully, gracefully adorn the body and show up, you know, in your day in different ways, you know, having different moods. I love that about eras gone by, where there was a different way that you would walk out to the barns. There was a set of clothing and hats and gloves for that. And, you know, there was tea time outfits, and there was an elegance of, you know, what you'd wear for dinner. And all of that played into the romance that was continually being created between the woman and the man. And it was that utmost respect of always bringing your best foot forward into each and every activity. And it was captivating. It was a beautiful, captivating, romantic era that, again, the softness and gentleness that was also hallmark of that era. And there still are some of these Renaissance, you know, men and women out there that believe in old-fashioned values, that believed in, you know, opening a car door, carrying something heavy for a woman, you know, watching out for them. And then you kind of have the modern era where everything is, you know, women have become more masculine. So it's kind of like, oh, I'll do it myself or whatnot. And men have become, to some degree, a little bit more single focused in terms of money making to some degree. And then again, also maybe a little bit lazy, because if these things weren't inbred into them to be chivalrous, to have this respect for women, you know, then it can be, and what I've seen a lot is a lot of disrespect towards women. You know, the way that men will talk about women as bitches and this and that. I mean, it's a culture. It's a cultural thing. It's kind of a millennial thing as well to some degree. And it's like, well, it's cool to talk like this, or it makes them seem more like hard, or I don't even know. Like, it actually doesn't make any sense to me. It was like that when I was in high school too. Just like, you know, if a guy was being really cool, the more kind of he could talk shit about a woman, it just, guys like that or something. I don't know. It was very confusing to me when I was in high school, and even into the bar scene and different, you know, hanging around groups of men when it's all men. Just the dialogue, whether it's on a sales floor at a car dealership or whatever, the dialogue in which men speak about women, I find shocking. Like, so disrespectful. Nothing about it I would ever, you know, want to repeat. It's not the way I ever would talk about myself, talk about, you know, the young women that I mentor, and I wouldn't put up with it. You know, I'm the type of person that if I heard it, I'm going to call it out and just say, like, that's not an appropriate way to talk about ladies. And yeah, given there are women out there that are misrepresenting themselves, you know, they're selling their bodies. They are taking very graphic, very almost pornographic images of themselves, and they're selling their bodies, and they're feeling that this is an easy way out or a quick way to make money. But again, it's like, I always look at it like, would you want your child to see you looking like that? Is that a way that a mother would look, right? And again, there's a way to look elegant and beautiful. You can still have that old Hollywood glamour kind of essence to you that's still beautiful. I'm not saying that you have to wear sweatpants and a gunny sock. I'm just saying that there's a way to do it. There's a way to carry yourself. There's a charm that you have. That charm should come with, again, all of the different layers that make a woman desirable. Intelligence, being well-read, being creative, having, different creative outlets, painting, singing, dancing, and being good at them. Take them up with an expert, learn sports, but have somebody be your trainer, just become good at things. When we're good at things, first of all, we're proud of ourselves, and it's an excellent way for us to be able to find a million things to do in a day and not be boring. But it gives us that next caliber of beingness as a woman. It enlivens that spirit back into all society for the desire to create beautiful love stories. This is something that is open to everyone, but it takes work. It takes this genuine diligence to making everything romantic. Every part of your day, making sure that your house is clean, making sure that you have fresh flowers, that you have incense, that beautiful music is always playing for every mood of the day, that you have a different outfit for different moods of the day, okay? Again, that is part of the seduction, the adornment, the things that you can do to be captivating for your significant other. And again, giving them space. Space is huge. It's not, don't be too clingy. Don't be too all up in their business. Allow your spouse to have their space to be themselves, to fill their own cup. This is very, very important in a respectful relationship. Allow your spouse to go out and do things with their friends or with their family without you. You don't always have to be tagging along, and vice versa, because then you get to come back together and you have things to share and be excited about. Having that balance where within a home, each individual has their own kind of man cave or woman cave that they can go into and just do them. And that's kind of their private space. Those are the things that create a solid home. Those are the things that create a very magical, beautiful home. And then when we add in the children, again, having infrastructure around where children can and can't go, making sure that they have lots of things to keep them, lots of things to keep them company with, things to entertain them, things that are helping to expand their minds, but also family time where the family comes back together and it is, dinners at the table or going for a walk after dinner, things that create structure and balance within a family are super important. And again, it's when we live in this way and we start to really be diligent about how we're structuring our lives, it becomes this beautiful symphony of living, and you're really creating a blissful existence each and every day. And then, yes, 100%, there's going to be more beautiful expressions of this beautiful balance that you're creating within your home. Those are going to be the trips, those are going to be the family reunions, the dances, the weddings, all those different things. So there are still parts of your family existence that will be even more exciting and beautiful than what you're creating at home. But again, really paying attention to the energy you're bringing to each and every day. And again, this is about bringing your best foot forward and continually being your best, not being lazy, not just accepting that at the end of your day, you're going to go and watch TV for 3 hours and put on your sweatpants. I mean, that's a romance killer right there. Making sure that you actually take time to be with your partner and make them feel amazing and do those little extra things for them. That goes a long way. Appreciating them, doing something that's unexpected, planning surprises for them. You're going to have to do these things for the rest of your life if you want a beautiful relationship. And part of creating a beautiful relationship is not ever falling into a stagnant, lazy energy. And you have to really ingrain these ideas into yourself to become this graceful, respectful being. And when you create that aura around you, that's how you are treating others or teaching others to treat you. So again, hopefully this speaks to some of the young women out there. This video is mostly for the young women. And of course, there's things I would say to guys, but that, you know, I'm actually doing a series with a really cool gentleman here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to have all of that dialogue about sort of the male side of things as well, you know, how men can improve, and, you know, maybe some of the good things that men are doing as well. Because I do feel as well that women are doing some amazing things in society right now as a collective. This isn't all about just being negative, but we have to talk about the things that we can improve on and that we can fix if we want to create a better life.